Hi everyone, I hope you are okay, you're doing well. It's a bit gloomy outside here in England, but it hasn't dampened my mood to read. And so I'm here to talk about the book that I've been reading. I've just finished this probably about an hour ago, but thanks to updates on my computer, I've had to wait to do this video. But the book I've just finished is Alison Weir's Lady in the Tower, The Fall of Anne Boleyn. Now, as you may have seen from other historical non-fiction books that I've read whilst on this blog, Alison Weir is one of my favourite historians. She's absolutely fantastic, and she covers a wide range of books, but I really like her Tudor related ones. And I've said when I picked the book out of the jar that I think I'd started this, I hadn't finished, and yeah, I realised I had started it but not gotten very far at all, like maybe a chapter or two. So pretty much it was like a brand new read. And this basically follows Anne Boleyn from the moment when her downfall began at a jousting tournament, all the way to her death, after her death, how people reacted, her burial and everything, and then how she's become this legend that we all know about. And you can really feel it throughout this book, and Alison says it herself on the very, very opening page, that she has loved the story of Anne Boleyn since she was a kid. It was the thing she got taught at school that made her sit up and go, oh my god, I really want to know more about this, and led her on to become an historian. So if it wasn't for Anne Boleyn, we wouldn't have the amazing talented Alison Weir writing these books. And she also says in her introduction as well how there isn't actually a book really anywhere that she was able to find where someone has just followed the path of Anne from the moment that her downfall began all the way to the very end. And so she's written this book. But you can really feel throughout every single page of this book, even through the introduction, everything, that Alison is so passionate about this woman of history. She has looked at every single possible source that you can imagine. She knows it backwards, inside and out. She knows everything possible that you can know about Anne Boleyn. And especially you can see this on accounts when it comes to Anne's execution, because there were so many people who wrote accounts of the event, and it's a good chunky chapter in this book, and it's really weird because you kind of feel like you're doing a bit more and then you're kind of stopping, because there is, so for example, there's a bit when she's coming up to the scaffold and there's a few steps, and it says about how, and Alison describes how she walked to the steps, and then she was like, but if we look at this account, we're being told that she went to the steps accompanied by 4 women. If we look at this account, it's by 2 women. If we look at that account, she's by herself. So you're kind of, so you're starting and stopping while she talks about the different accounts and what they say, and then you go a bit further, then you're stopping, and again. So that chapter, it feels like it's a really slow execution process, as it were, because of all of the accounts that are flying around. But it's so interesting to see, to have the accounts of different people from different levels of society talking about what happened, and the official historian of the day, Chapis, she talks about a lot in her book, and follows. And I really love that the way that she has knitted this together is that you're kind of reading it and feeling like you're kind of watching a drama unfold, like it's I suppose in a sense, a kind of historical fiction piece. Do you know what I mean? Where the way that she describes things, the way that she brings it to life. I personally feel is that kind of in a different level than her other books, and that just. Not that her other books are dry. Let me let me clarify. That's not what I mean in the slightest. But it brought this woman to life in a whole nother level, which I just really loved Alison for doing, compared to other pieces that she's written before. So I think this is my favourite Alison Weir book. I have to say, it's it's wonderful. Her knowledge of this woman, every single possible, she has spent hours upon hours, weeks, days, months, years going through every single tiny little reference to Anne Boleyn there possibly is in the world, and bringing it all together, and she's got it to the detail where she knows exactly, it kind of like the Mary Queen of Scots but with Antonia Fraser. She knows exactly what Anne was wearing, what she was doing throughout the course of the day, what she was eating, what the weather was like, what was going. It is absolutely glorious read. Um, she does talk about kind of what's going on with the people around Anne at that time. When I say that, I'm talking about the general public, just as well as in the court and then in her family and so on. But Alison does this thing where she also shifts back and forth between with what Anne's going on with Anne, what's going on with Henry, and also what's going on with Jane Seymour, because Jane was the next lady who. Next queen, and Henry became engaged to Jane the day after Anne was executed. So, well, that was when it was publicly announced, as it probably happened on the day, and how she fit into all this, because she was a lady in waiting. She was lady in waiting to both Catherine of Aragon and also Anne Boleyn, and she caught Henry's eye, which led to kind of an affair, but not an affair at the same time, because nothing really happened. Anne, it all fell apart for Anne, and Jane was the exact opposite to Anne. Anne was thin and dark-haired, and she was quite a bold person. She was charismatic. She was so smart and such, but she had this issue that she could go too far, and she went too far with certain elements in her life, which led to her downfall. Whereas Jane, she was kind of the English Tudor Rose. She was quiet, she was attentive, she did what she was told, she was quite petite, she was fair-haired. She's described as being the plumpier queen, but I don't necessarily think that's true, but you know what I mean when you look at her portraits and everything. Anyway, that's by the by. But she was the exact opposite to Anne, and so how she fit into this, and I love like how little things that Alison talks about, how Jane made sure that on the day of Anne's trial, she was nowhere in the court. She stayed as far away as possible from all that drama. And spent time with her family, and so that led to a visit from Henry, and so on and so forth. History happened. But I also adored how she also looks at the other people in Anne's life who were caught up in the same downfall, the same scandal, especially her brother, who it was believed the trumped-up charge said that they had sex together. They'd had an incestuous relationship, and such, which was a load of rubbish. And he was beheaded as well as Anne on the same day, and how that affected the family, especially her father, who kind of pushed Anne, in a sense, to be the woman who she was. But then there's a debate as to if she was pushed, and other things that had happened in Anne's life earlier on, how they affected her as an adult, and going to the French court, and everything, which led to her becoming this very confident, very driven, very stunning woman in court, which caught Henry's eye. And the fact that her sister had also been Henry's mistress as well, she knew what he could be capable of, and everything. That she was, she was an interesting woman, to say the least. But I loved how Alison brought her to life in a wonderful, wonderful way. And there's a section of this I absolutely loved, which is after Anne's been beheaded. And this is the knowledge of it going out into the world, as it were. And Thomas Wyatt is referred to in this, and this poem that he wrote is so beautiful, and how it channels Anne's story, Anne's downfall, is amazing. It's oh God, I love it, absolutely love it. So here we go. The Queen, José reported only hours afterwards, suffered with the sword today and died boldly. Referring to all who had died, he added, Jesu take them to his mercy. Even Cromwell was impressed by Anne's bravery and that of Rochford, and greatly praised the intelligence, wit, and courage of the concubine and her brother. She had reigned as queen 3 years, lacking 14 days, from her coronation to her death. Withersley observed, the imperialist witness believed that he had seen the prophecy of Merlin fulfilled. Some time after Anne's execution, in his prison in the Byward Tower, a distressed Thomas Wyatt again put pen to paper to write of the woman he had once passionately courted, his verses being an outpouring of woe at the unforeseen twists of fortune to which all human beings were subject, Anne more dramatically than most. It was a popular contemporary theme, and Wyatt, who had been so closely caught up in this tragedy, expressed it very movingly and captured the horror of Anne's situation. So freely wooed, so dearly bought, so soon a queen, so soon low brought, hath not been seen, could not be thought, oh, what is fortune? As slipper as ice, as fading as snow, like unto dice that a man doth throw. Until it arises, he shall not know what shall be his fortune. They did her conduct to a tower of stone, wherein she would wail and lament her alone, and condemned be, for help there was none, lo, such was her fortune. Writing on the day of her execution, Anne's chaplain, Matthew Parker, was in no doubt that her soul was in blessed felicity with God. Her body, however, had been consigned to oblivion, for no provision was made for any stone or memorial tablet to mark the place where she lay. So I found that such a stunning way to end the chapter of Anne's execution, how people reacted to it, and especially like Thomas, who had loved her, and sadly it ended the way it did. But it has such an interesting opening, this book as well, how the downfall began with one tiny gesture at a jousting tournament when Henry walked out and left Anne all alone to fend for herself while he decided to go off hunting and such. And what that shift meant, and how embarrassing that was for Anne to have to deal with the court all by herself, and for her husband to do that, just up and leave her in front of everyone. It was a startling sign of what was to come for her, and yet it was the smallest gesture. It was the smallest thing compared to what happened to her later on. I really felt for Anne. I loved the way that Alison portrayed her in this book. I definitely read it again. And yeah, I so thoroughly enjoyed this. So thank you, Alison, for writing this wonderful book. So that's my thoughts on The Lady in the Tower, The Fall of Anne Boleyn. Now, of course, if you want to see any documentaries or dramas relating to Anne Boleyn and everything, the ones I recommend, I've accidentally left a couple of them over by my TV, over there, so I can't hold them up for you. But the two that I had over there is the Channel 5, the Six Wives of Henry VIII that was done a couple of years ago now, and David Starkey's book. David Starkey's documentary series, Monarchy, and he did a section that was just a series of episodes, that was just on the wives of Henry VIII. So there's those, and there's also Lucy Worsley's Six Wives, which was done like last year, which I also strongly recommend. And drama-wise, there's always, of course, The Tudors, where Anne Boleyn is played by Natalie Dormer. There she is. Oh, I just started up in series 2. There she is, right there. Obviously, the drama, it follows real life, but then, of course, writers like to do other things with it. I kind of see the Tudors, because a lot of people, a lot of historians who really hate the Tudors because the way that it portrays them. But I'm kind of one of these people who, I love history, I love the Tudor period, but I see that drama as a piece of entertainment, not necessarily truth. So for the drama that it is, I like it, but you know, I know where the reality of what happened and such is in my heart. But yeah, I strongly recommend those. I strongly recommend this book. Have you guys read this book? I'd love to know what you think. You can leave me a comment in the comments box below, or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Entirely up to you, I'll let you decide. And I'll be back soon in my next video announcing what book I'm going to be reading next. Alright then guys, bye!